So you are thinking of moving to the greater Phoenix area. Well, let me tell you, here's 5 things you're going to want to make sure you know, like the back of your hand, before you make the move. So let's break them down for you. Don't go anywhere because this one is a doozy.
It's a doozy.
All right, number one, I'm going to have to say, whether you're buying or you're renting, I have to tell you, area is more important than any other part of moving to the greater Phoenix area. If you are moving here for a job, then that's going to kind of set the standard of where you're going to need to live by, but you still have choices in almost any different direction. You just have to set that commute budget, if you would. The area is so important in the greater Phoenix area. I'm telling you, we are getting so grown out. We from one end to the other is almost 2 hours. We are going to see more and more freeways pop in, but that's going to be over the next 20 years. So we're not going to see anything in the short term. So you're going to want to make sure you have a very dependable car with good car insurance, and make sure you have full glass coverage because we have more rocks on the road and you'll go through windshields at least once a year. But the idea of living in a bubble is kind of how everybody lives. In fact, I just hiked the bottom of the Grand Canyon and I met this amazing woman who lives in North Phoenix and I live in Chandler, and she literally was like, "Oh, well, too bad." And I was like, "Wait, I don't mind driving." Here's the thing. Everyone in the greater Phoenix area, they live in their little bubbles. What I love about where I live, and hopefully you find a home that fits your needs exactly like this, is that not just one grocery store in the area, or maybe just one Costco or a Trader Joe's instead of maybe a Whole Foods. I have an area where I can choose Costco in one direction and a Sam's Club in another. I can choose AJ Fine Food, which is our luxury grocery store, or a Whole Foods, or a Sprouts, or a Trader Joe's, all within 10-minute drive. I have a multitude of high-end restaurants, taco shops, McDonald's if I want fast food for my grandson, whether I want to listen to country music or if I want to listen to jazz music, or if I want to go hiking outside, or if I want to maybe do rock climbing inside, or maybe I want to do festivals, or how about a hot air balloon? Where you live in the greater Phoenix area is really going to be an impact on your quality of life. So before you fall in love with one specific home like on Zillow or Redfin, definitely get to know the area and really find out what works best for you. That is what we specialize in. We're not just a realtor that finds you a house. We are a relocation expert that helps you find the area. So it kind of it makes a difference. It does make a difference. Number two is, to me, super obvious, and that is the heat. Not gonna lie, guys, the summer of 2023 was a doozy, and let's see what happens for 2024. But if you don't remember, we had 30 straight days of 110 degrees and higher. This is why we lose actually 1/3 of our population in the month of April. So if you're wondering, like, again, what does that mean? We have a lot of people that have second homes here and vacation homes. So let me tell you, from April until about December, I love the fact that we lose 1/3 of our population because we don't have as much traffic. I'll tell you, Interstate 10 is an absolute nightmare. I don't care which direction you're going or what time of the day it is. It's terrible, but it gets better during the non-snowbird season. But the heat in April is absolutely fine. By May, it's doable. And that's when I start doing my paddle boarding in the summertime and enjoy the outdoor water sports or going to the lakes. Now, did you know we have not one, not two, but 3 super close lakes? And then we have a couple of really large lakes just a couple hours away. Just talked to a buyer the other day. They thought the only lake we had was Lake Pleasant. So he was kind of drawn to that northwest part of the valley, but he wasn't finding what he was looking for. Till he called us and he found out that we have 2 other amazing lakes on the southeast valley. One of them is called Saguaro, which I have to tell you is one of the most beautiful drives, called Bush Highway. Beautiful trails. This is also where we do the Salt River paddling. And this is also where the wildflowers and wild horses are all over the place. And then we also have Canyon Lake, which is up just a little bit further. Both of these are reservoirs, so they're man-made lakes, but they're ginormous, like millions and millions of gallons. And although we haven't fully recovered from the drought, we have a lot of water in all of these water holes. We also have Lake Roosevelt, and we also have Lake Mead that are even just a couple hours away, and that's a lot of fun for houseboat trips. So the summertime, again, when June hits, that's when kids get out of school, actually, in the May timeframe. That's another thing, guys. Did you know that our school starts in July? So in June, it starts to get toasty warm, but it's still pretty new and we're all enjoying it. And by the 4th of July, everyone's having their great parties. And then by the second week of July, everybody that even lives here goes on vacation. So that's how we get through the summer. But here's the thing, people still work through July. It's funny how people were like asking me, like, well, what happens if you need a new roof? Well, you call a roofer. Well, what happens if you need this? It's like everyone still works in July and August. So think about some of those cold countries, which, by the way, I, again, just like I said, hiked the bottom of the Grand Canyon and froze my little tushy off at the very bottom. And let me tell you, I thought to myself, as I was freezing in my 20 below suitcase, what you talking about? So I had it, I was prepared. It was just really damn cold down there. And I said to myself, I would take being hot over being cold any day.
This is the campground.
Because there was nothing I could do, because I was one with Mother Nature. There was nothing I could do at the bottom of the Grand Canyon to get me warm enough. There's no fires allowed. At the same time, if it was really hot, all I had to do was sit in the water. So if you ask me, there's a lot more options when it's heating. And for those of you who think I have to request an air conditioning unit in Arizona, no, you don't. It comes standard. It's included with everything, whether you're renting or you're buying. And if it doesn't, it probably should not be occupied. So here's another thing about the heat to the guys. It's funny, again, a lot of people come here for winter and they think it's summertime. Now, it might feel like summertime from where you're coming from, but the vast majority of homes that do have swimming pools and are not Airbnbs, that's what I meant to say, they don't have heaters. Now, I have a heater because I have a jacuzzi in my pool, so obviously I need to have a jacuzzi heated up. But this potential buyer was quite shocked that we that live here, we don't go swimming in December, and they were even more shocked that we don't take our boats out in December. Don't forget, it's our winter. So we look forward to the day that we can put our boots on, like actually pretend like it's a little cold, but we actually do take the time off because, again, we have an intense summer. We enjoy a lot of outdoor activities. That's when we hit the trails in the December timeframe. I'm no longer paddleboarding. I am now hiking the mountains inside the valley. I also just do a lot of other activities. There's indoor and outdoor activities to enjoy. There's all kinds of outdoor museums. There is the zoo. I had to think of them. We have the Phoenix Zoo. We have the Sonoran, what is it called? The Sonoran Desert. Oh my gosh. You know what? When I'm on video, I can't remember everything. It's called the Sonoran Desert Museum. We have so many things to do in the greater Phoenix area in the wintertime when it's only 60 and 70 degrees. It's absolutely amazing. Big thing is like right now is the off-road vehicles. I have a 4-wheel drive. I don't really take mine at craziness, but razors and off-road vehicles and side-by-sides, and those are a blast. So that's a lot of the things that we do. How did I get to winter from heat? But you get my point. We have extreme heat, but life is as usual. You just kind of live your life like you normally do. I work in an office majority of the time, unless I'm showing homes. And if the AC is not on in the summertime, it is absolutely miserable. But boy, am I rambling on, but hopefully you're catching up all the little points that I'm dropping.
Just stop talking.
All right, number 3, cost of living. Definitely do your research on the cost of living, because when you compare housing, just the house price from like Florida or Texas or Washington or Chicago, I guess I went from city to state, state to city, you get my point. One of my favorite sites to go to is bestplaces.net, and there's an area that says compare cities, and you can compare like your major metropolitan area to our major metropolitan area. And the reason I'm saying it like that is, in my opinion, we have a couple of different major metropolitan areas that you're going to want to compare. So let's talk about that. The cost of living does differ depending on where you buy. If you are buying in the city of Phoenix, know that the city of Phoenix has some of the cheapest homes that you can buy and also the most expensive homes you can buy. So if you kind of wanted to take one that's kind of like right in the middle, city of Phoenix will work just fine. If you are coming from like Sammamish, Washington, or Monterey, California, or Hollywood, California. Actually, Hollywood's not that expensive. Calabasas, California. If you're coming from the really, really expensive areas, then you're going to want to compare to Scottsdale, Arizona. If you are coming from like a tech city, and let's say it's San Francisco or San Jose or Dallas, you're going to want to compare that to like Chandler, because that's, again, kind of comparable, that technology, higher paying, but also higher housing, etc. It'll give you a really good comparison. If you are coming from a more rural area, if you are coming from Fresno, California, or Indian Bend, Indianapolis, I'm trying to think of some of the smaller little towns. Buckeye is a good, again, different price point. So there's different types of living in the greater Phoenix area. And one of the things I love about the greater Phoenix area, it has it all. Everything from retirement communities, like, those party little towns for 55 plus, to rural horse properties, several acres. Now that's going to be way outside of town now because everything's pretty much built up. To condominium, high-rise living. Most of the stuff in downtown Phoenix, most of the housing in downtown Phoenix is going to be one of two things. It's going to be high-rise rentals, or it is going to be the historic community that is just absolutely breathtaking. So when you talk about Arizona doesn't have culture, I beg to differ. It just means what area you're going to town. So the cost of living, and one of the things, compare that. The other thing I want to say is in reference to taxes, make sure you compare taxes. Because when you look at property taxes compared to any of those states that I just mentioned, Arizona is significantly less. And that plays a huge part if you are buying a home. So for instance, Dallas has less expensive housing prices, but it has much higher property taxes. So when you add those two together, which both come with owning a home, Arizona and Dallas are actually quite comparable. The other thing is state income tax, depending on where you're coming from. Make sure you take into account that Arizona state income tax is a flat 2.5% compared to a lot of states, but not all of the states. The other thing is too, if you are a senior citizen or about to receive any type of retirement or Social Security, look at the taxation. It's actually very kind to senior citizens here in the greater Phoenix area. Every state's a little bit different. We are not the best state for retirement, but we are in the top 10.
Excellent.
Which is why there are so many people that choose to call Arizona their place of retirement. Here's the thing, guys. No city, state is absolutely perfect. There are pros and cons in every single area, even when we're comparing Arizona to Florida. We get that all the time. If you are looking for a absolute massive city of hundreds of thousands of retirees between the ages of 75 and 90, Florida's going to be your bet. We do have some adult 55 plus communities, and I'll be honest with you, most of the 55 plus communities here are that same age, 75 to 90. But I'll be honest with you, they don't compare to like the villages in Florida. I'm just going to tell you right now, our weather is way better and we don't have any hurricanes. So again, we'd love to have these conversations with you because I know it's very personal and very individual with every single buyer. Let's talk about number 4, and that's going to go straight to employment. One of the great things about the Phoenix area is that we are super baby, like compared to these larger metropolitan areas, when we are the 5th largest. So when you look at the other 4 above us, and even those are kind of behind us, we are by far the newest. So what employment we have here today is growing at a faster pace than any other part of the country. So even though you might be coming here specifically for one type of job, take a look at what employment opportunities we have and the growth here compared to other cities. So if you are in the technology space, know that we are just growing at crazy speed. We have so much coming into 4 different areas in the greater Phoenix area over the next 10 to 20 years. And here's the thing, Taiwan Semiconductor, which that made huge news, is a $60 billion facility. They will be opening parts of it next year. They just announced that they are going to be expanding it even more by over $27 billion more. What is that? $87 billion they're putting into Arizona? That is just insane. Do you know that that's like over 1,000 jobs just in that northwest part of the valley. And now all the secondary businesses, the supply chain companies are moving here. Amcor just released that they are building a $2 billion facility, and it will only continue, which kind of leads me to the next thing, where kind of with this massive growth that is coming with employment and freeway and housing, it also means congestion. That's one of the things I have always loved about Phoenix. Compared to where I came from. Again, I came from the San Jose, San Francisco area, and I grew up there. And I remember all the many orchards and the open space. And now when I go back home to visit family, it's nothing. I call it a concrete jungle, and there is no green anywhere. I mean, other than the trees in people's houses or the commercial buildings, but there's no open fields. Now, here's the great thing about the greater Phoenix area is that they have two different types of deserts that they are going to preserve. So we will continue to see areas that will never, ever be developed. So, and then we also have, the second part is the Indian reservations that are kind of intertwined in the greater Phoenix area or adjacent to many of these cities. So Arizona is protected from becoming a concrete jungle. I can't even say that, concrete jungle.
You can do it!
And so I like the design of where they're going with the greater Phoenix area. But let me tell you, like I said, I grew up in the Bay Area, and I remember when housing was affordable in San Jose, and I saw what tech companies did. That honestly is already happening in the greater Phoenix area. I can't even imagine the next 10 to 20 years. Take that to the bank.
$1 million.
You think we should maybe ask for more than $1 million?
And number 5, I want to make sure people understand really what they're getting here, and that is probably one of the most complete social calendar destinations you have ever seen. I don't care where you go. Everywhere you go, it seems like there is weather that gets in the way. I think the only place that doesn't have weather problems is going to be Southern California, and it is very expensive. And I think second to Hollywood, Los Angeles area, we are probably the most complete, full-rounded offerings of social activities. I'm not just talking about outdoors activities, because I'm sure some of you are like, oh, well, you can't do everything in the summer. No, you're right. You can't do everything every month, but in the summertime, we all have other different types of rituals. Like I myself, I love the outdoors. So do you think I stay at home and sit inside while it's 115 degrees? No, I do not. Let me tell you, from where I live, I can hop in my car with my dog and we head straight up to Payson. And I love all the waterfall hikes that we have in the greater Phoenix area. And it's an hour and 15 minutes from my house. That's hardly, anything to complain about. I can go hike in temperatures 20 to 30 degrees below. And I love hiking up the creek with my dog. I tell you, it's not the only place. There's another favorite place. It's a little tiny place. Did I tell you about it? Well, there's 2 places actually, and they're both up north. Again, only a few hours away. There's one that's just north of Sedona. People don't realize Sedona is breathtaking. And my father came to town and we popped on up there for the day. We got to walk around. We got to do all kinds of shopping. We also got to do a Jeep tour. We also had lunch, and then we came back down. So it's an easy day excursion. And just north of Sedona, well, actually through Sedona, is called Oak Creek. And what I love, there's of course, Instagrammable areas like Slide Rock State Park and everything. And it's just an absolute zoo, especially in the summertime. But I have my private little pin on my map. So if you want it, you got to give me a call. I'm telling you, nobody knows where I go. It's a secret little place. And me and my dog have occasionally there's like 1 or 2 people that come up and I'm like, hey, how are you? They're like, oh, I didn't think anybody else knew about this. I'm telling you, there's a lot of off the beaten paths. That's the way Sedona used to be until it got, super glamorized. But there's that. And then also another one of my favorites called White Horse Lake. Now that one is about 3-hour drive away, but I'll tell you, it's amazing. And my dog just love it. And we bring our paddleboard up there. And again, you can grab a hotel, in the summertime for $100, $120 a night. It's not expensive. And then we just get away from the heat. There's so much to do just up north. And that's what I do in the summertime. Not every single day. I got to work just like most of us. But there's things you can do. Let me tell you, from September, which is a kickoff, is a taco festival, all the way up until, let's see, right now at this time in April of 2024, when I'm doing this video, there is a jazz festival going on, as well as, and that's in downtown Chandler. And there is also, what is it called? Country Thunder. It is insane. Couple 100,000 people get together with some of the top artists in the country. And it is literally camping out in the middle of nowhere, but it is unbelievable. So let me tell you though, all I'm saying is the bookends. From September to April, you have non-stop choices of outdoor activities, events. I went to a concert in Gilbert just a few weeks ago. What was it called? Smoky Tour, something like that. I don't know, all these younger kids were enjoying it, but I'll tell you, there's a lot of outdoor activity. If you are into pizzas, there's a pizza festival. There's a St. Patrick's Day festival. There is a jazz festival. There is a chili festival. There is a, oh my God, there's car shows. There is Firebird Raceway. Just had some races out here last weekend. You want to talk about sports? We got everything. We got basketball. We got baseball. We got football. I think we're losing the hockey team. Is that a bad thing? I don't know. I wasn't really a hockey fan. I think that's the problem. There wasn't a lot of hockey fans in the middle of the desert. There wasn't. But anyways, we have everything else. Not to mention spring training. Went to several games this year. They're so fun. They're so much different than like the professional. I'll be honest with you. I'll go to a spring training game any day. We did have the World Series here last year. Look what I mean, you guys. We have so much. The restaurants here, if you are a foodie, we are on the map now. There are so many crazy choices. Most of the really crazy, weird, like off the chart ones are going to be in Scottsdale and downtown Phoenix. And depending on where you live, it's kind of like worth a drive in to go see some of these, like a pirate restaurant, like underground. Or if you are looking for, there's some kind of a pink, everything, the food there is pink something in Scottsdale. Not really for me, but if you're looking for like miniature golf, we have Top Golf. That's year round. That is a lot of fun, by the way. And it's air conditioning and they serve alcohol while you're playing. Just saying, it's a lot of fun. Not to mention, there's so many other experiences here. We have, honestly, everything. So I think I've given you more than the 5 things you need to know. But if you have any other questions, you just got to give me a call, shoot me a text, send me an email. Days, nights, or weekends, we got you back when moving to Phoenix, Arizona. We want to be your source for sources, so call me today.